Hi, hey guys, my name is Ace Reddy, and I wanted to walk you guys through the graph system that I have built out. So one of the things that people have always asked me is how I tend to be good at calculating everything in my life and bringing everything down to a number and growing it, right? And this is exactly how I do it. It's a simple graph. It's nothing like I didn't pay $100,000 to get certified to make this graph, right? I'm not a life coach. This is just something that I use. And I'm going to show you guys how to use this. So, first things first, what do you guys do is this is the income graph. Okay, so this is the income graph, this is the branding graph, and this is the content creation graph. Okay, now I'm going to walk you guys through how to do this. So, first one, the income graph is the goal of an income graph is to tell you week by week whether your business is going up or down, whether you're making more money or less money. Okay, and the funniest thing about graphs is it's at a certain point it starts to get very predictable. Okay, because I'm going to show you guys an example. So if I put 200 here, 300 here, 400 here, 500 here, 600 here, 700 here, whatever, right? What do you think the next number is going to be? Probably 800, right? As long as you keep doing the right things. But what if the number goes to, let's say, 500? Okay, so that's a steep decline. Now, when you start doing these graphs for long enough, you start to know what is going to happen next. So, for example, like you know in your business that if a graph has gone down this steep, then there's something wrong in your business. And like unless fixed, it's gonna hit even lower, right? And sometimes it's not like this. Sometimes it could just go as low as 440, right? But it's still a decline. And one of the best things about this graph is it lets you see what the heck is going on in the graph by going back into the past and analyzing that and then bringing that on to the forward to the future, right? So what you guys essentially do is you put your weekly incomes on the graph. By the way, you don't have to show me your income and stuff. Just download the graph, re-upload it, and use that. You put your weekly income on the graph, and what do you do is this is for the last 3 months or 2 months or however long it is for you. Because obviously, guys, if you're watching this video in like a year from now, you're gonna have to change the dates, right? So what I recommend is at least 3 months because that'll show you an accurate analysis of what's going on. And then you can study your graphs and you can track and calculate everything. And then obviously, because if your graph is going down here, you know it because you're doing the weekly graphs, right? I'll give you guys an example, right? In the e-commerce, because I'm in the e-commerce niche. So in the e-commerce business, one of the things that we've always maintained is a refund and a chargeback graph. Because the thing is, let me give you an example. I had this client, right? He gave me a call. The guy was blowing up. He's like, "Oh, the supplier is so bad. The product's terrible. Everyone's asking for a freaking refund." And I was like, "Okay, how many refunds did he get?" And he's like, "I got three today." I'm like, "How many total refunds did he get?" He's like, "Four, in the last 2 months. But I had three today." I'm like, "Okay, well, how many of these refunds are from the same customer?" Then he goes and has a look, right? And he figures out that one customer claimed a refund on three different items or something like that. I don't remember the exact story, but that is just ridiculous. And I was like, "Dude, you sold 300 units. You have about four refunds total. These are good numbers." Like the only and even he realized that, and he was like, "That's like a 1% rate. Oh, geez, I'm good." But the thing is, at that point, since he didn't have the clarity, right, he went ballistic. That's exactly what's going to happen to you in your income levels too. You're making, let's say, $1,000 a week, or $2,000 a week, or even $10,000 a week. The graph drops to 5,000 a week. Now we are like, okay, everything's failing, everything's failing. But when you have a good graph, you know when it starts to fail, right? So let's say you're making $1,000 a week every week. Week two, your graph goes to 900. Okay, now a lot of people wouldn't even notice that. They're like, okay, you know what? We're still making $1,000. Worst part is also when you go from 1,000 to being 1,000, because that's also a form of decline. If you're not growing, you're gonna go down, right? So if you make $1,000 now, $1,000 next week, your graph is about to go down. Okay, but anyway, let's say you're making $1,000, right? The next week you make $900. you now know that there's something wrong. So now we can pay attention to it, right? You're like, okay, you know what? Something's off here. Let me go pay some attention to it. It's like burning fire. You can see it, right? Now, if you didn't have the graph, you probably wouldn't see it. Let's say you go from $1,000 to 970. Now, a lot of people are like, oh, you know what? That's okay. That's not that big of a deal. But with a graph, you can pay attention to it and you know that it went down to 970. So you wait another week. The next week, if it goes down to 900, you know you're in freaking trouble, right? And you're going to find out what is causing the problem way before any of these other guys find out, because they're having the time of their lives. They're like, oh, I made $900 this week. I made 1,000 last week, whatever. And you are out there tracking and looking at problems to fix to a certain degree. So anyway, guys, with that said, that's how the graph system works. When the graph starts going down, or if it stays stagnant, you start to move things. Now, what I do essentially is, if the graph hits too low, right, or if you're just starting out, what I also like to do is I'll start watching a course, right? So for example, if I buy a course by, Frank Kern or some dude, I watch the course, the graph needs to go up, right? I'll give every mentor maybe 30 days, right? And I'll watch a course. If it's a motivational video guy, like if it's a guy that's like doing motivational stuff, the graph needs to go up in 1 week. If it doesn't go up in a week or 2 weeks, something's wrong with the guy. I'm not going to listen to him. Maybe he works for other people, not for me, because obviously the graph isn't going up. So if I'm making $1,000 today, right, and I bring in Frank Kern's material, for example, I need to make at least $2,000 a week by next month, right? And obviously that I got to take action too. If I'm just watching the course, it's not going to help. But if I introduce this content and I'm taking action on it, okay, which by the way is just one course. I'm not going to get 100 courses in. I'm getting one course in. Okay, so I'll take Mass Control by Kern and I'll be like, okay, now what? Let me play with it. So I bring the course in. If I make $1,500 the week after the first week, that means this course is working, right? So I'm going to keep listening to that course. I'm going to keep dialing the strategies as long as the graph keeps going up. Now, when the graph starts hitting stagnant points, that's when I decide to look, what I can do. So the way that I do it generally is if the graph is straight, right? So for example, if it's 200, 300 or something like that, and 400, and then it goes down to, let's say, 350. So this is a situation where you did something wrong, right? You made a wrong move, but it's not that big enough for you to make for it to cause an impact. So all you gotta do, if you hit this position, what I do, right, is I go back and I try to see exactly what I did wrong during that week, or what caused the decline, right? I'm like, okay, well, how did you go from 1,000 to, let's say, $900? Like, what caused it, right? And that's something that I'm looking for. Now, let's say it goes from here to, like, it goes here. Now, this is a decline, right? This is a steep decline. Now, this is when things start to get heated up, because now I'm trying to change the system. I'm trying to change the structure. I'm trying to promote more. I'm trying to do a lot of different things. That's essentially what's going on, guys. And let's say you hit this point where you go from making $200 a week to making, let's say, $50 a week or $40 a week. And this is when I start changing courses. So for example, if I'm listening to Kern, and I had the peak, it goes down, I'm still listening to Kern, I'm still using the strategies, right? But if the graph starts going like this is when I usually get rid of the course that I'm watching, bring a new course in, because it's time for me to upgrade. So that's as simple as this graph is, guys. Now, the way you use it, okay, is you put your numbers in here for the last 3 months. This is by a week basis. If you make 1,000, 2,000, 3,000, 4,000, 5,000, 5,005, 5,010. I'm just playing around, guys, right? So now you have this graph, right? Now let's say the highest you hit is maybe $7,000 or something. Okay. So what this is gonna do for you is it's gonna give you an idea of what is happening and where the graph is going and what the highest is. Okay. So what I would do is I would take this 7,000 here, which was the highest week, and I'd click on this. I'd go to customize. Hang on. This is the monthly sector. Okay, so I'd go here, right? And what I do is I'd go to vertical axis and I'd put 7 into 3, 21,000 there. Okay, and what I do is I'd go to the minimal amount that I made, and I'd use that as the, I think it's called the x-axis. Okay, so what I'm gonna do is we made just $1,000. That was the highest, right? So I'm just gonna put 1,000 here. So what this is gonna do is it's gonna give me a more accurate graph. So it's like $1,000 was the bare minimum. So if I make 1,000 here, 2,000 here, 3,000, 4,000 here, 5,000 here, 6,000 here, you can now see, look at the graph, right? So you had a steep increase, which means you had a new idea, you started doing something new. Usually when there's steep increases, there's either a market change or you're doing something new, right? And then the increase kept going steadily, and then you went to 7, you went to 8, and usually what I do is once you cross the 16,000 mark, that's when you can start replacing this number and go into 3 times of the highest number. That's as simple as it is. With the income screenshot, the graph. This one's equally simpler. This is called communication lines. So it's Instagram, YouTube, Facebook, email list. Put your numbers in here. For like the increase, what I do is I usually add everything. So like I'll like add Facebook page comments, buyers, Facebook, everything. Okay, and I'll just put it here. In terms of followers, page comments is not necessarily something that you add. My bad. The other ones you do, except for the YouTube views, you add everything else. And something you can add over here is page comments. Page comments is who left comments on your Facebook page. Buyers, new customers, Facebook follow. And the way you check your Facebook following is you go to friends. Okay, you look at the number of friends you have on there, and then you look at the following, and then you add these both. So that's going to give you the accurate following on Facebook. You got Instagram, you got YouTube, Messenger. Same thing with the graph, right? The moment it starts dropping, you can go have a look. Then you have the content creation graph. This is where you put your subscribers in. This is where you put your views in. This is for Instagram stuff. So this is where you put your followers in. This is where you put your Facebook group members in. Again, the idea of this is to know when something's about to die, right? Because like once if you find something out after it's dead, it's dead. There's not a lot you can do about it. But before it dies and when it starts to sort of decay, you can figure out exactly why with this graph and really change things. So anyway, guys, I hope this video helped. To get this graph, there's a link in the description. You can just click on that, get access to this graph, and I hope you guys make a bunch of money with it.